everyone, it's the Cohn Zone. I'm Grant Cohn. That's my dad, Lowell Cohn, legendary Bay Area sports icon. We got to talk about OTAs, week 2 today. We're going to look at it about Trey Lance, a few different angles. But first, we have some unfinished business to attend to. Not what you're thinking, of course, but people who were talking about, a lot of people were talking about me this past week. And one person in particular, I think we need to respond to directly, Mr. Pat McAfee.
That's his name, right? Pat McAfee?
That's his name, yeah.
I never actually heard of him, but I went and looked at what he had to say about Grant on, what would you call it, his broadcast? I don't know what it is, Iggy, what he does.
Yeah, it's like what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing about, he was very anti-Grant, and he was all worked up. So he called Grant a rat bastard. And to me, that was pretty much the high point of my week.
Yeah, it was the best part of the show for sure.
It was fantastic. He called you a rat bastard. So if we could spend a few moments on the phrase rat bastard. First of all, I don't think any more people call people rat bastards.
I haven't heard it in a long time.
Haven't heard
Throwback.
it.
Yeah.
I want to give McAfee props for going back in the linguistic history. I've had to say film, because Jimmy Cagney would call people, you dirty rat. Now, in the black and white movie days, you couldn't say rat bastard, but you could imagine him saying it now.
Yeah.
So props to, what's his name, McAfee?
Pat.
Props to Pat for going back and coming back to rat bastard.
That was great.
What does rat bastard mean?
I'm not sure, but it gets me going. I really like it. It's like he could have just called me a bastard, or he could have just called me a rat. But together, somehow it's worse. And I don't really know. It's like I'm a rat who also doesn't have, like, I'm a rat and my rat father doesn't want to be around me. So I'm a rat bastard. That's low. I guess that's the lowest thing you could be.
Yeah, he was very worked up when he said it. But again, props to him for coming up with that rat bastardness. So I'd like to talk a little about him, because if you're a rat bastard, and let's give him, you're a rat bastard.
Could be.
What is he?
Yeah, what is he?
Well, I've been thinking about it. You know, I put the two halves of my brain together, and I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
So let me talk a little about his presentation. He comes on, because I watched him. It's the only time. Mm-hmm. And he wears sort of a muscle shirt.
Yeah, tank top.
A tank top, so you can see his arms and stuff.
Right.
Which aren't actually all that developed, you know. But, you know, you see his arms. And he talks tough.
He stands up. He stands up.
He stands up. Oh,
he can't be bothered with sitting down. You know what I'm saying? He's just too excited, too worked up. He's just bursting at the seams. So he's got to be standing. Yeah, it's great. I love that.
What I want to say is, you know, I want to say he's a tough guy. You're a rat bastard, and he's a tough guy, but he's a tough guy in a particular way.
Yeah.
I don't think he's really a tough guy, because he used to be a kicker. And, you know, Iggy, in the locker room, the kickers sort of sit on their own. They're not, it's not like they're hanging around with the other players, right?
Nah, it's not like they're doing, like, you know, boxing in the off season. They're playing golf. They're working on the trajectory of theirs. No, I wouldn't really call. I love Robbie Gould's a good guy. Tough guy, I wouldn't go that. Not in the NFL sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I wonder if the tough guy persona that this Pat McAfee has is an overcompensation for being a kicker. And Pat, if you're watching, we would love you to comment and tell us what you think about my wondering whether it's overcompensating. So what I want to say is, Pat, I don't think you're really a tough guy, but you portray a tough guy. Yeah. You play the part of a tough guy. And, you know, God love you. Yes, Iggy.
Well, I was going to say he's got kind of like the mohawk. He's got a bit of a fake spray tan. I mean, he's really goes for the role of a fake tough guy, and I think he pulls it off correctly. Well, very well.
Yeah, I'm not calling fake. I'm saying he portrays a tough guy.
Okay, right. Which
is a little different. He may be. He could kick my ass. I'm sure he could. Probably beat us up together. You know. So
maybe.
But he portrays a tough guy.
Yeah. Like, although I can portray a tough guy at times as well, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, I portray an old guy with wisdom on our broadcast. Now, I am an old guy. Whether or not I have wisdom, God knows. I mean, I'm an idiot half the time. So he portrays a tough guy. But here's the thing that really gets me. I went on Wikipedia and read about this Pat guy.
Yeah.
And unless they have their entry wrong, they say that he announces pro wrestling.
I think that's right. He's a
Okay.
crossover.
So now look, I know about pro wrestling. Those are guys who portray being tough guys.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, to me, pro wrestling is a performance. As opposed to like UFC.
And the best part of WWE is when they get in the ring and yell at each other, not the actual wrestling. It's when they talk and the personalities that they have. Are you kidding? Yeah.
Maybe they called each other a rat bastard.
Maybe he got that from WWE, Vince McMahon. Possible.
So here's the thing about Pat. And Pat, I hope you're listening, or one of your minions is and taking notes. You are in the position of a guy who portrays being a tough guy, who announces about people who portray being tough guys. So you're way into that. And again, I really want to praise you. You found a niche. I think it's very interesting that you portray being a tough guy. And I'm pretty much done with Pat. You have something to say, Guy?
Yeah, I want, because you've said what you think of him. I haven't said what I think yet. He called me a name. He called me a rat bastard, and I love it. I thought it was a 10 out of 10 on the creativity scale. I got one for him. What I think of Pat, if I had to sum him up in a name, I would call him a mouth breather.
I think he's a mouth breather.
Mouth breather. And you know what I mean? I mean, nothing against it, but it's like, it's like 13. An adolescent. Like, dude, you can just slow down, breathe through your nose, talk normally. But he's like, worked up, He's a little bit of a mouth breather. Sorry.
Iggy,
But I'm a rat bastard, and I would say, a rat bastard would say something like that.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Mouth breathers, do you associate mouth breathers with bad breath?
Oh, no doubt. Halitosis. Kind of people that would talk with their mouth full.
When they're eating.
Yeah, like you would have like the sandwich spraying out of their mouth as they talk, because again, they're just so passionate about what they're trying to say.
Anyway, Pat, I hope that you get some Listerine. Keep going after Iggy Grant, as you know him. Go after him. Call him a rat bastard or whatever you want. It's great for his hits. He went crazy last week with hits. And again, all the best to you in your career. I like how you portray a tough guy. And one thing I would never call you is a rat bastard. I wouldn't.
I just want to point out one thing. Last year, I interviewed Jimmy Ward on my show for an hour, and he said at the end, Grant, keep being an asshole. He did not give me license to be a rat bastard. So I don't know. This is different.
Yeah, you descended to rat bastard.
I may have crossed the line here from asshole to rat bastard. It's hard. I'm going to have to talk to Jimmy Ward and see if I'm still okay in his good graces.
Okay.
Moving on.
All right.
One more thing before we get to OTAs, because we have a lot to say about OTAs, but we want to finish up with the conversation about me. And immediately when this happened last week, a lot of people went back to nepotism, that the only reason Grant has a job is because of you, Dad. I think you might want to respond to this one.
I would. And, ever since Iggy has gotten to be well-known, and let's face it, he's very well-known. Maybe not as well-known as Pat McAfee, but he's very well-known.
I'm no Pat McAfee, Dad. But maybe one day.
No, you're a rat bastard.
I'm a rat bastard at this point.
And you're not a tough guy.
No.
So in any event, I got a lot of tweets this last week. Your son sucks, and the only reason he has a job is because of you, and nepotism, blah, blah, blah. I want to say there is a certain amount of truth to the nepotism. So let me explain what happened. Iggy, what year was it?
2011. I was 23.
Okay. 2011, our family had gone to Hawaii.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
You went.
Mom and I, we went to Hawaii, and you were still in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
And we went with the family, Dr. Gary Furness and Val Furness and their daughters. He's a doctor in Santa Rosa. So while we were there, Iggy got a phone call from the sports editor of the Press Democrat, Bill Piniella, a dear friend of mine and a wonderful guy. Iggy, was it that Matt Mayoko had left the paper? Is that
Eric Branch? Eric Branch.
Eric Branch. Yeah, Eric Branch had gone to the Chronicle,
right?
And they needed somebody to cover the Niners and to write a Niners blog. So
just online, nothing. There was not a full-time job. It was not in the newspaper. It was just do the blog.
Right, and you were not in the newspaper guild.
Right.
You got none of those protections.
Right.
Okay, so Bill Piniella called, and then Iggy said, "I'll call you back."
And
You
I
told,
had been stringing for NBC Sports Bay Area for about a year. I had written some things for them, but it's true. He knew you very well, and he knew me well since I was a little kid.
yeah, he was my editor,
Yeah,
and he's friends of the family. So we all huddled, and I said, "I don't want you to take the job because you're too good for that. I want you to be a columnist." And get Dr. Gary Furness, God love him, said, "With all due respect, Lowell, this is a no-brainer. This
yeah,
is his entree into media."
yeah.
So he took it. Iggy, you generally earned about $24,000 a year from them.
Generally, at first, I got $1,000 a month before taxes, and then eventually I worked it up to 1,500, and then to 2,000. Pretty much, that's where I topped out.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he was making not a lot of money, but it was a start, and he got it
had a credential.
clearly.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
got a credential.
got a credential, and he got it clearly because he was my son. So, okay, I copped to that. Now, I didn't try to get him the job. It was a surprise to me
Yeah,
when Pinella called him, but still, he got it because he was my son. Fine. Every other job since then, I've had nothing to do with.
yeah,
When Sports Illustrated called Iggy a few years ago and said, "Would you like to work for us?" These people were young. They had never even heard of me,
yeah,
but they had seen Grant's work,
yeah.
and they said, "We want you." So his job at Sports Illustrated, now it's called Fan House in the Sports Illustrated network, came entirely without me. These people didn't know me from anybody. And then he made the leap to YouTube, and all of you people are watching him. And he did this all on his own. I didn't even know what YouTube was. So, yeah, I mean, for all you people in the future, when you get angry at Grant, you can write that it was nepotism, but the nepotism was at the beginning, and it was a sliver of his career and has nothing to do with what he's doing now. And I'll say another thing. Iggy makes more money than I could ever dream of when I was a well-known columnist in the Bay Area. I mean, sometimes I think I'd like him to give me an allowance.
Yeah, I am really proud of this YouTube thing that I've built. And if something were to happen and people were to take everything away from me and try to ruin my life, I'd still have this YouTube channel that I built by myself,
Right.
and I would live exactly the way I'm living right now. So that's really nice thing to feel and to have. So I admit that I, used the connection that I had to get in the door. But doesn't everyone? Like, are there people in the world that are like, I have this connection. I'm not gonna use it because I want to get this the pure, I want the hard way. I mean, maybe there are people, and if there are, I commend you. But I feel like everyone tries to use what they got at some point.
But you didn't try. He came to you.
That's true. I didn't apply for the PD job. I didn't apply for the job at SI. I've never applied for a job, and I've never actually had a full-time job. I've been a freelancer my whole life. So yeah, I've gotten some breaks, but at the same time, I've never had a full-time job in my life. I've never had a benefits. Never had them. Never. But what I do have is a YouTube channel that I created by myself. That's going to be, those are my benefits. It's nice. Feels good.
And I think on this line, because you're an up and comer, Pat McAfee, if you're still watching, and I think you probably are, because I think we've won you over. I think you ought to give Iggy some praise for following in your footsteps and creating this thing on his own and without nepotism. So
Yeah, one thing I want to say about Pat McAfee seriously is that even though he's a mouth breather who totally misrepresented what happened between me and Kim last week and got all the facts wrong and is not a journalist and portrays one, he found a way to make a bunch of money talking about sports. And anyone who can do that, I respect, because it's not easy.
That's
it's really
right.
not easy. It's very hard. So good for Pat. I respect
you, Pat. Yeah, you've really made a success of it, and you've created a very interesting character.
Absolutely, for sure. Alex Rock says you're both proud lit majors. As am I. Rapid fire. What are your favorite novels and why? Your favorite novel? Top 5 now. Go.
Now, first of all, there are many of them, but off the top of my head, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. It is the most beautifully written novel I've ever seen.
That's funny. The first one that popped in my head, I don't know if it's how I would feel tomorrow, but All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy, because it's
what a novel.
It's a whole different type of book than Lolita, but it's just as pretty to read, and it's a Western. It's a coming of age. I like it too. All the Pretty Horses.
Yeah. Cormac McCarthy. What a talent.
Yep.
What a talent. That was a good one, maybe.
Yeah, thanks. Matthew Sanders says everyone has been given a chance slightly above their skill set at one point in the past. 10 years later, hard work and accountability.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Randall Riley says, for you, my favorite rat bastard and daddy fave, keep up the great work. Should I sell a shirt with my face on it that just says rat bastard?
It'd be pretty good.
That'd be pretty good, right?
And send one over to Pat McAfee.
Oh, man. See, this is why I love my dad. We got the same exact sensibility. All right, moving on. Let's talk football. It's been 50 minutes.
Enough of Grant. We did enough of Grant.
Let's talk football. All right. You have a question about Trey Lance. Go ahead.
Does he still have the wobble in his throw?
It's been one practice, and the wobble is something you can see better in slow motion, but yes, pretty much, yes.
Tell me what the wobble is.
It's just not a perfect spiral. It just comes out a little bit of, it's like a little bit of like a through the air, like that. I don't know. It just kind of flutters. The tip, can't really describe it very well, but instead of, I'm going to stop gesturing. But anyway, it just kind of comes out funky, and it's a little bit harder to catch. And last year, people were focused on it. And I think one thing that was tough about it was wobbling, and it was very fast. There was a lot of velocity. And I think those two things made it tough for everyone on the team to catch. So yeah, the wobble's still there. And when he misses pretty wildly. But to his credit, he was 17 to 20 in this last practice. And what he was not, the other thing he did last year was he would throw the short passes as hard as he could. Remember that?
Yes.
Like a slant. He would throw it as hard as he could. It's like, he doesn't do that anymore. He was actually throwing the check downs and the short passes with touch. So the wobble wasn't as big of a factor. Another thing about the wobble, Peyton Manning threw with the wobble, and he talked about it. He said, first of all, it doesn't really matter. As long as it gets to the right spot, the guys can catch it. And what's nice is defensive players have a tough time catching it because they don't have the best hands to begin with. So it leads to a lot of dropped interceptions. That was him rationalizing it. So some pretty great quarterbacks have had a wobble.
And this was Peyton Manning talking.
Yes. And didn't you tell me that Steve Young was working on his spiral for a long time?
Oh, God. I recommend Steve Young's autobiography. It's really a good book. And he talked about how he really had to adjust holding the ball and throwing it. When he came to the Niners, he was still working on it.
Yeah, I think this is going to take some time for Trey Lance. But there's other things that he needed to work on, too, like the touch that he seems to have improved on. And I want to give him credit for that. Like, remember last year, there was one thing that was really problematic for him, throwing over the middle. Because I don't know if you remember, he would miss high a lot. He would sail passes over the middle, miss high, and that's how he would get intercepted by safeties. That 15-yard pass over the middle is the Jimmy Garoppolo. It's his best throw, and it's a big part of the Niners offense. The throw to the receiver moving, laterally behind the linebackers in front of the safeties. Jimmy really does a good job with that. You got to throw to a guy in stride, and you got to put it over the linebackers so you don't get if you miss low, you get intercepted by the linebackers. If you miss high, you get intercepted by the safeties. It's a tough throw. Kyle asked Trey to throw that pass 7 times in this practice. I was a little frazzled, and I didn't notice it, but I just looked. 7 times, he hit 6 of them. He was nailing it. And that's a throw he was not confident with last year. So I do think he's making strides, even though he still has a wobble.
I wanted to ask you more about the wobble.
Yes.
Is the wobble on a pass, let's say a 20-yard pass, is it something that happens once? It wobbles once, or is it continuous throughout the trajectory?
I would say it's something once. I would say it's once. If it's not continuous, it's just like, I would say once. And it's something you can see better in slow motion. Something you can see really well in slow motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't think I know that you've always been a big fan of Trey Lance, and you think you have the suspicion he'll do very well. And if he does, you don't think this wobble is going to be an issue.
I don't. Now it's not ideal. And in the offseason last year, I saw Justin Herbert in person, and I could really see the difference. That guy's a top 5 quarterback in the league, top 8. And his throws are perfect spirals every time. He looks like a machine. Trey Lance isn't that kind of quarterback, but he has a totally different skill set. He's a mobile quarterback. The Niners knew that about him. And when you get him outside the pocket on the perimeter, as a thrower and as a runner, he's going to be extremely dangerous. In the pocket, I think you're looking for good, not great. You're looking for good. And so is he going to be a little inaccurate at times? Probably. Is he going to have some wobbles at times? Yeah. But he'll be good enough in the pocket like Russell Wilson, hopefully for the Niners' sake, that when you get him out in the perimeter, all those big plays happen and you can live with whatever happens in the pocket. I think that's the idea.
When you say they would like him to be good in the pocket, is Jimmy good in the pocket?
Yeah, yeah. Not to me. I mean, he turns the ball over too much. He doesn't. He turns the ball over too much. He's accurate enough though. His completion percentage is pretty high. Let's call him good. Yeah, fine. He's good in the pocket. Not great. Not great. But if Trey Lance could be a little less accurate, but a little bit more careful with the football, I think the Niners would take that.
Yes.
They would
Yes.
take that. Especially if he gives them big plays when he gets out. He has to give them big plays. And he did in small sample sizes last year. I'm talking about like not just scrambling, but when they do play action and roll him all the way out. When he stops and is ready to deliver, can he throw some 70-yard passes for touchdowns? He did last year. Jimmy wouldn't even look that way. And that's a big part. That's a part of the offense that I think can be unlocked. So we'll see. If it wobbles when he throws a 70-yard touchdown, no one should really care.
As long as the guy catches it and goes
As long
in.
as the guy catches it, yeah.
And what you're saying is Jimmy wouldn't even attempt that.
He wouldn't even look. I don't even know if Kyle would call it for him. Yeah.
I see. So again, we always come back to what Bill Walsh said, the quarterback defines the limit of my offense. And what they're hoping with the Niners is that the limit rises because Trey Lance has so many more skills than Jimmy.
Yeah, it seems like he's already the kind of quarterback who will check the ball down. Jimmy doesn't like to do that. Jimmy thinks he's Brett Favre or something, even though he doesn't go downfield. Trey Lance, I mean, this week he was checking the ball down relentlessly. He wasn't forcing it. It's just practice. But there are a lot of things he does well that can offset the fact that he throws kind of a funky ball.
Iggy, there are certain quarterbacks when you look at them when they throw, their motion is beautiful. Yeah. They look like a quarterback. Is he one of those? Like Trey is not one of those.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Justin Herbert is one of those.
Okay.
Tom Brady is one of those.
Yes,
but
he is.
I think, again, like when you have a mobile quarterback who's going to run 6-7 times a game, you're looking for a quarterback whose arm is, I mean, not better than good enough, but good enough. I think some people with Lamar Jackson wonder, is that even good enough with Lamar Jackson, how he throws? Some people say no. But
I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, some people say no with Lamar Jackson. So I think Trey Lance can be a better thrower than Lamar Jackson. I think he's got a much bigger arm than Lamar Jackson. I think he can be better than that. I think he can be a better thrower than Colin Kaepernick was. I think he can be sort of on the Russell Wilson level. Russell Wilson isn't great from the pocket, but he's good. He might be very good from the pocket. And once he can scramble around a little bit or get outside the pocket, he'll kill you. He'll kill you.
You know, he's getting a little older now, Russell, but you know that the Niners played Seattle a lot, twice a year, and I saw him a lot, and I still see him a lot. Iggy, I love to watch him work, Wilson. I love to watch him work. He is so interesting and exciting.
What do you like about him?
First of all, he has a great arm.
He does.
He has a great arm.
He does.
Also, the play is never over.
Yep.
The play is never over.
Yep.
I just love. Now, again, he's slowing down.
Yes.
But I'm saying when he was the best of Russell Wilson, God, was he exciting.
But the thing about Wilson is he was, even at his best, he had some limitations in the pocket because he's 5'10" or 6 feet, whatever. He can't really see over the line. He's not great at throwing over the middle of the field. Some of his so he was good enough. He was certainly good enough in the pocket, but he was so great outside the pocket that together he's really hard to contain. He's really hard to defend. And it's like, even if he had a bad quarter or he was losing at halftime, you had a feeling he was going to have 2 or 3 amazing plays at some point in that game that would give the Seahawks a chance to win. Always.
And having a bad quarter or a bad half never bothered him.
No. Supremely confident.
Yeah. He's like Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry can miss 10 shots in a row. He doesn't care.
Yes.
He'll make the 11th. And he has that. It's a wonderful mentality that I think they share.
Yeah, and Trey Lance, from what I've seen in practice, he'll have a pass that comes out totally funky. It's got a wobble. He misses. He'll hit the next 6 throws. He seems very confident in himself. And the one thing you said about Wilson, the play's never over. That's what I'm so excited to watch with Trey Lance. He's really hard to sack, and he's very quick for a guy who's 6'4", 230. He's much quicker than Colin Kaepernick was. Kaepernick, once he got his full stride going, was probably faster than Trey Lance. But Trey Lance just moving in the pocket and avoiding people. I didn't think Colin Kaepernick was particularly good at that. This guy's really good at that. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you about Colin. Once he got going, boy, he was a beautiful runner. Beautiful runner. But there's a difference between speed and quickness.
Yep. And Lance he has the quickness of a guy much smaller than him. Yeah. So the wobble will be something to watch for, though.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll take some videos in slow motion. Seriously, at practice on Wednesday.
I would love to see it. I would love to know what it looks like.
The iPhone lets you film in slow motion. So I will film his passes in slow motion as he warms up and just see how many of them have a distinct wobble. Something you can see.
Okay.
Wobblegate. Wobblegate. What you talking about? Willis says that they knock you for talking to your dad on the show. Shouldn't that be a more positive look than negative? Yeah, it's like, oh, Grant and his dad have such a great relationship. How dare they? There goes Grant with his dad.
Oh, well, you know what a lot of people said?
What?
People who don't watch this weekly said, Grant was in such bad shape. He had to bring his dad on to defend him. I've been doing this show for years with Grant. Yeah. So that was Iggy, there is so much stuff on Twitter where people really don't know what they're talking about.
And they just go for it.
It's like you had to bring your dad on. What about the other times I was on?
Now, we normally do our show on Tuesday, but last Tuesday couldn't do it because practice. Then Wednesday, meeting with John Lynch. A lot happened. So we did our show on Thursday. Now we're back on Tuesday. So that's what happened. Cabo Rojo says, you're a complete professional, Grant. And as someone that's a legacy in my industry as well, I get it. Props to Lowell for praising Grant's ability to progress new sports media. Much love to you two. Wow. Thank you so much. That was very nice. Let me see if there's any more. There might not be.
I had something I wanted to add.
Please do.
About you. I had it on my notes, but I forgot to do it.
Okay.
Before Iggy got this gig with Fan House in the Sports Illustrated Network.
Fan Nation,
whatever it's called. I'm sorry, Fan Nation. I'm sorry.
That was AOL, right? Fan House? Yeah.
Fan Nation. He wrote for SportsIllustrated.com. I didn't know the people there.
I did.
He wrote some beautiful features, and one he got paid a lot of money for. How much did you get paid, Iggy, for that one?
I got paid $3,000 for one and $1,500 for the other. I was 27 when I got paid $3,000 for one article. I was over there getting like $2,000 a month at the SI. It's like, I felt that was heady stuff. Yeah, 27.
But here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
You people will probably never know it because Grant now does this for him and he doesn't do writing anymore. But I was thinking, who are the really good sports feature writers in the Bay Area? I'm not talking about beat writers who cover a team, and I'm not talking about columnists. I'm strictly talking about feature writers. And there are three. Danny Brown at The Athletic. If you don't know him, he writes on Angel. He's wonderful, right, Iggy?
He's phenomenal. He's great. Yes. Used to cover the 49ers.
Yeah, and used to work at the Press Democrat.
Yes.
And Brian Murphy, who doesn't write anymore. He's on NBR, the Murphy.
Used to cover the Niners, used to work at the Press Democrat. Yep.
Yes. Brian Murphy is a gorgeous writer, and it's a loss to the Bay Area that he's not writing because, he's making a lot more money on the radio and he's a lot more famous, but what a talent. And what I want to say is, in terms of feature writing, Iggy is at the level of Danny and Murph.
Well, thank you very much. Another person I like who's my age and up and comer, Connor Letourneau. He's a really good feature writer. He's good.
You're right. Connor,
Yeah,
Connor, I'm sorry I left you out.
Connor's really good.
He's in fact, I like his writing so much. Occasionally I'll drop him a note and say, really nice piece today, Connor.
Yeah, he's really good. I've told him that to his face before too, but I just want to say that Connor's terrific. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, let's keep going with OTAs.
Okay. I guess it's two questions. Tomorrow you're going to be at the OTAs. What one player will you look at on offense and why, and which one on defense and why?
Okay, for a few reasons, I'm picking Trevarius Ward, the new cornerback. One, he's new. I haven't seen him very much. I've seen him in one practice. That was their biggest signing. He's a very good player. I don't know if he's great, but he's a very good player, and that's their main addition. And so far in the first practice, he was really good. They went after him 2 times, and he gave up no catches. So it's just two targets. But I'm keeping track, and so far, they haven't gotten him yet. Now, there's no Debo there, but Ayuk couldn't beat him. Jawan Jennings couldn't beat him. I want to see if that carries over. The way I look at it is right now, the Niners are probably trying to not get people injured, and they're not going to go too hard. So I don't know how much 11-on-11 they'll do. But in 7-on-7, you can really judge the corners and the DBs and the wide receivers and anyone who covers or catches passes. So I'm looking at the new cornerback and seeing if just how good he is. And so far, he's kicking ass.
Where'd they get him from?
Kansas City. He was on the Kansas City team that beat the Niners in the Super Bowl. He was starting for them. He's a very good player.
Do you know how tall he is?
He's about 6 feet tall.
Good.
Yep. 6 feet tall. He's about 25. He's fast.
So this is a real addition that they've made.
Yeah. Now, he doesn't have a lot of interceptions in his career, but he basically doesn't let you catch the ball. It's a pretty good skill set.
I should say.
Pretty much not going to. And what I want to see, I want to see him continue to dominate Jauan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk's a good matchup. If Brandon Ayuk beats him a few times, okay. But I think this guy should continue to win more than he loses. And so far, so good. It looks like a very good signing for the 49ers, this guy. Because, we've talked a lot about how they've neglected DBs. This guy's a serious DB.
So who are their starting corners?
Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley at corner. Both of those guys are good, very good. Their safeties are Jimmy Ward, who's excellent, and then the second-year guy, Talanoa Hufanga, who we'll see. He looked pretty good this week. We'll see. And then at nickelback, they don't have anyone. They have like a four-way competition, and that's the guy who was getting beat last week, Darqueze Dennard. So they got to figure that one out. But the four starters are good so far.
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right, let's do offense.
Yeah, who are you looking at on offense?
Who I'm looking at on offense. All right. Again, a new addition, Ray McLeod. They signed him this offseason. He's supposed to be a returner, but he also plays offense. And I was looking at his stats. He was on the Steelers last year. He got 66 targets and 39 catches. That's a healthy workload for a player. If he'd gotten that on the Niners, he would have been their fourth option after Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk. So I'm curious to see how much they use him. And so far, they put him in the slot, and he caught 2 passes over the middle from Trey Lance. 15-yard, like the in route I was talking about. He really did a good job. He's kind of small, but he caught the ball away from his frame and exploded with it after the catch. I'm looking at him because when they signed him, I was like, this is ridiculous. Their big signing is a returner, but I think they see him as a slot receiver, and I think they're going to use him a lot. I think he's going to be a key member of the offense, and I think he's going to be good. So he was actually their most impressive wide receiver on the field last week. I want to see if that carries over because he's got a good matchup going against Darqueze Dennard in the slot.
Iggy, you say he's not that big, but slot receivers really, a lot of them aren't that tall.
Exactly. So that's okay. It's not a big deal. Remember the Niners used to have Trent Taylor, who was 5'7". I think this guy's a little bit bigger than him, a little bit faster than him, like just a much better version of him.
Interesting. And he's pretty fast?
Pretty fast, yeah. Not like 4.4, but he's quick. He accelerates quickly. And I think you can use him not only as like the guy who runs the little shallow routes from the slot, but also how the Niners use Debo on the end arounds and things like that. He can do that stuff too. And that's how Pittsburgh used him. So he's like another gadget receiver that Kyle likes to use.
Good hands.
From what I saw so far, I was curious about that. But he really made nice catches from Lance. That's what I wanted to say. Can you catch Trey Lance's fastball? Are you a Jimmy Garoppolo receiver? So far, so good. And he didn't just play for the Steelers. His first year in the league, he was in Buffalo with Josh Allen, who has the strongest arm in the league. So maybe that's maybe the Niners went back all the way to 2018 and saw Ray McLeod catching passes from Josh Allen and said, oh, he can do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's praise the 49ers for getting a starting cornerback and for getting a wide receiver who may be a slot guy. And no one really realized they were doing these things. Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the forum for both of those guys to look great. Off-season 7-on-7, no pass rush. Those guys should really be the stars. And last week they were. So my eyes are on them. I mean, I don't think many reporters are going to be looking super closely at Ray McLeod. Maybe they will, but a lot of people are going to be focused on Trey. And I think it's important for fans to get other players too. So it's got to come in with a game plan, Dad.
You go in with a game plan?
I do go in with a game plan. Otherwise, I'll forget. I try to go in before practice and write down things I'd like to remember to look for. Players, coaches. Helps. Because there's a lot of people on the field.
Yeah. And you refer to your little checklist to make sure you're not overlooking something?
I do. I have a lot of fun at OT. I really like covering practices. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow tremendously. It's a lot of fun. Because I feel like I'm doing a good job for the viewer and the reader. I feel like I take a lot of notes. I'm good at describing. I'm good at giving as much information as possible, which is helpful. Anyway, I don't know. When I first got the job, when I used all my nepotism to get the job, the way I kept it were my camp reports. People really liked my camp reports that year. Otherwise, they probably would have just gotten someone else. If I had no traction, if I didn't get any views, they probably would have went for someone else.
Absolutely.
Kept me in business.
It's a cruel world out there, Iggy.
It is a cruel world out there.
It's a cruel world.
I got a bonus topic if you.
Yeah, I have nowhere to go.
Okay. So we talked about this last week. We don't want to talk about the incident, but the conversation about the incident. What was so amazing was people who weren't involved, people who weren't there had a lot to say about it. And it was like, at least locally, it was the topic about sports, the number one thing. Everyone was talking about it on radio and stuff, and everyone had very, very like moralized opinions. And it just struck me that it happened the same day as that mass shooting in Texas. And it seemed like people were more concerned, or at least locally, were so much more concerned about this and a little drama that nothing happened than something that was really serious. And I think that's probably natural with humans. Like something tragic that's really bad happens and it's almost too much to bear. Yeah. So you place your outrage on something that's totally trivial, that doesn't affect you at all. Like the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, or the Tommy Pham, Jock Peterson thing, like things that people talk a lot about that don't matter.
Or the Johnny Depp trial. It
seems like people love trivial drama and spend much more energy getting angry about that than things that are really actually affect them in the world, which is an amazing phenomenon.
It's an amazing phenomenon, but totally understandable, as you've explained, because the school shootings are so hard, are so tragic and so hard to comprehend. All you can do is put your hand over your mouth and weep. All you can do. And with this, you can deflect it to something that's not as important, and in a way that's an emotional catharsis.
Yes, absolutely. It was very strange being in the center of it, watching my name be trending on Twitter for days. And I'm thinking, this is what everyone's outraged about this week? Really? And then, it was funny. People kept it going it felt like 72 hours. And what finally ended it was Tommy Pham slapping Jock Peterson. Another really trivial nothing that people obsessed about and joked about and talked about for days. It's like it was equally as trivial as what happened to me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Jock Peterson seemed kind of puzzled by the whole thing. I read his quotes. I don't know him.
Yeah, he seemed puzzled, but he went into such detail. I thought he kind of knew what he was doing. Like, let me just explain to the world what Tommy Pham is really mad about. Fantasy football. It's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. It was this and this and this. And Tommy Pham couldn't even, anyway, it was very silly. I don't want to talk about it. It was very, very silly. It just feels like high school drama. Like, oh, did you hear that those two people don't like each other? They might fight it at lunch. Let's see if we can get them to fight at lunch. Like, come on. That's what I kind of saw it.
Well, I really appreciate, because what you did is you brought in the big picture. I really appreciate that. And what you're saying is you're not part of the big picture.
No. And, when it happened that day, it was, it got really big. But as you saw, I didn't fan the flames the days after. I wasn't trying to capitalize on it in any way, but a lot of people did. A lot of people kept it going. Anyway, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, a lot of radio stations wanted you to come on.
Yeah. So I just kind of spent the last few days kind of hanging out, chilling, doing nothing. Like, let's just let this go away.
And you wouldn't go on the radio stations. You wanted it to be over with. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Anything else you got today, Dad?
Nah. I don't. Maybe it's a little bit of a shorter show today.
I think it's a little bit of a shorter show. Tomorrow's practice. We'll have a lot to talk about. And we'll be back next week, me and you, Dad.
Okay. I love you, Grant.
I love you too, Dad.
I'll call you
after.
Okay.
All right.